Hello and thank you for joining me. This is Taliesin McKnight, and today I'm going to teach you how to do sugar spells. Sugar spells are used to get people to be nicer to each other. It's to help people to get along, to be sweeter. And sugar spells, basically, you work with sugar, which can then be used in cooking. So basically, you're charging an item and then it could be fed to the people involved. So this is a form of magic that you can use in your cooking. Now it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to use sugar spells as an ingredient. Basically, the symbolism of sugar is because sugar is sweet. It's to get people to be sweeter to each other, to act nicer. And this form of magic, just like anything else, it's not good or bad in itself, but when it comes to ethics, it depends on how the person uses it. Depending on your interpretation of ethics, sugar spells could be used when people are fighting and arguing all the time to get the people to be nice to each other, to get them to like each other more. So in that sense, it's very positive. Let's say it's Thanksgiving and your relatives are always fighting and arguing. Sugar spells can be used to let everyone get along. Sugar spells could also be used to sweeten a judge, to sweeten your boss. If you have a bully, someone that's just hateful to you all the time, this is a very mild way to deal with such a person, to get that person to be a little sweeter. So how you use this, there are many different ways to apply this. So this is a very simple form of practical occultism. And I'm going to show you how to do it so that you could start applying this in your life. Before I go any further, just a quick reminder, new videos come out every Saturday morning. So every Saturday morning you'll see new videos coming out on magic, occultism, occult philosophy, things like that. So just throwing that out there, y'all. So, sugar spells. Sugar is an ingredient that's used in cooking. Again, you don't have to use this spell in your cooking. But really getting into this for a moment, there are a vast number of ways that you could apply magic and practical occultism to your food. Just think of the different herbal ingredients you use in your food. Think of the different ingredients. Basically, you can put your intentions into the food that you eat and the food that you serve others. So, food, working magic and spells with food is a whole thing off to itself. And sugar spells is just one particular form. And if you'd like, I do plan to go into different ways that you can look at preparing your food for practical occult purposes. So anyways, sugar spells. Sugar represents sweetening. It represents being sweet. So how do you do a sugar spell? Basically, you get a jar of sugar. I advise getting a jar like this. It's a large mason jar, metal lid, that's what I prefer. Or you may have a sugar bowl. I like to use these clear glass jars with the metal lid. Basically, you put your sugar in this in a container. If you're religious, you pray over it. You may state your intent. You direct your energies into it, and you have your physical ingredients, and you sort of imbue it with your purpose. Even from a placebo effect standpoint, you know, taking this, putting it in your coffee, whatever, has an effect. So, you have your sugar, direct your energies into it, you can cook with it. You don't have to. This could just be itself without the cooking. So basically, you just have a jar, you put your sugar, you direct your energies into it. Now, within this type of working, this is actually a popular spell in Hoodoo. Okay? I teach different forms of magic on my channel. What I'm talking about here comes from Hoodoo tradition, sweetening spells. Okay, so for this, what are the ingredients that you're going to need? And this is so simple. These are items that most of us have around the house. I mean, they're not hard to get items. You'll need, of course, some sugar. Now, it doesn't have to be sugar. It can be honey. It can be maple syrup. If you're diabetic, then you can use sweetening packets. You could use NutraSweet or aspartame. But you have your sweetening agent. You'll need a jar or a bowl or a bottle, some kind of a container. And then one more ingredient that you'll need is a link with the target. A link. Again, a link is something, a magical link is something that connects the spell with the person that you're affecting. Within different forms of practical occultism, historically, you have hair, fingernails, their signature, a piece of clothing that they had, things like that serve as a link. It links the ritual to the target or to the situation. It is an item that connects the work with the person you're affecting. So let's say that you're trying to sweeten a couple. Let's say that you're married and your husband or wife and you are always fighting, arguing, and you both want to get along. So sweetening, and if you make your wife or your husband's coffee every morning, then you could put a little bit of this in that person's coffee every day. And also, the very act of doing something nice for the other person, such as making their coffee or making them something nice, that act of kindness in itself can be contagious. So, if it's a family get-together and the relatives are always fighting, you can get a name. You can just write each person's name. Take different pieces of paper and write their names on the paper. This could serve as a link. You can go to Facebook, print off their picture, write their name and date of birth on the back. There are different things that you can do to get a link with the target. Now, something very important. If you're going to be cooking with something, you don't want the person's hair in it. So, just my own personal pet peeve, if you're going to be using something like hair or something, you may not want to be cooking with that. So, one suggestion is to use a plastic baggie. If you're going to use stuff like that, just use a plastic baggie. That way, whatever's in the baggie won't contaminate what you're going to be cooking with. Herbs. Today, I'm not really going to be talking about herbs, but many people like to add herbs to it. Love herbs for love situation, court case herbs for a legal proceeding, whatever. Again, you may not want what's in the herbs to be in the sugar because it could affect taste, it could affect flavor. Some herbs are toxic. There may be allergies. So again, if you're going to be working with things like that, you may want to put it in a plastic baggie before putting it in the jar. But let's say for today, you're just going to have each person's name. This serves as a link. And then one more thing I'm going to add, because I personally love to work with candles in any kind of practical magic. Candles are not necessary, but this is what I personally do, and that's how I teach it. So very basic, very simple. Some sugar, a jar, their picture printed off with their name written on the back and birth date, which is a link, and some candles. A white candle is good for just general purposes. Color symbolism, basically when you're working with different colors, different ingredients, even the sugar itself, this is a symbol set. It is a set of symbols that represent your intention. So different colors, candles can be used to help the symbol set. Or white can be just general. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but many practitioners find candle colors to be helpful. So if it's getting two lovers to be nice to each other, a red candle. If it's your boss and he's a jerk towards you, you may use a green candle, because green represents work, money, prosperity, financial matters. Maybe a loan officer at the bank you're trying to sweeten. Again, you may have that person's business card as a link, and a green candle, because that's a money matter. If it's just a peaceful home, blue is a soothing color, so blue candles for peace. So the specific color of the candle is often used to add further symbolism to a working. White is just a general all-purpose color. So let's say some white candles. So how does this go down? Basically, you put your link in the bottom of the jar, maybe the names of the people, cover it in sugar, close it up. And then you'll pray over this, you'll put your intentions there. Some people recite psalms. If you're religious, you can pray over it, state your intention over it. You could sort of visualize your desire and kind of push that energy into it. Basically, focus on your desire and push that energy into the jar. So think of your physical ingredients as the body. Now you have to give it a soul. You have to give it life. I'm not saying that that's literally the case, but this is a way that some of these ideas are looked at from a conjure perspective. So for example, with a mojo bag, a mojo hand, you have the physical ingredients and then you imbue it with life, and it in a sense is seen as a living thing. So whether you take this literally as building up a thought form, or if it's just symbolic, either way, you have the body and then the soul from this perspective. So you have your physical ingredients, and now you have to give it energy. Okay. So you have their name, the sugar. You take it between both hands. Focus upon your desire. Focus upon your goal. And sort of push that energy, that desire into the jar so that it becomes a vessel. Like a vessel is a cup that it's said to have an aura or an energy. You're directing your energies into it. Okay? And in practical occultism, the symbol, sort of the sexual symbolism of a receiving cup and a projecting like rod, this type of symbolism you see a lot, of course, in more like, I guess you could say, Hermetic tradition, which is a different form of magic. But basically, you have your ingredients, now you give it your energy. And that's the general theory in occultism, this particular theory. So as always, I encourage you to question everything, believe nothing. I'm just laying out these occult theories Do with them what you will. But that's basically it. And then I like to take the candle, and if you have a metal lid, you might light the candle and burn it on top of the jar, and just focus on your intention. Again, while the candle's burning, you may pray over it, whatever, and you can burn the candles representing your desire on the jar as much as you wish. And you can just leave it as is. Whenever you feel the need to add sweetening to the relationship, burn another candle on it. Add energy to this. Add energy to it. Or, what I like to do is you've got your sugar, you can now add this to tea, coffee. If it's a Thanksgiving dinner and everyone's arguing all the time, you could add it to make cake or cookies or whatever. So if your spouse is abusive and always angry at you and you just want things to be a little sweeter, if you make the person's coffee every day, direct your intentions to it and put that in the coffee. You could also use this on yourself. Now, why would anyone do that? Let's say that you're trying to get yourself to be sweeter in a situation. Even as a placebo effect, it is effective. So focus on your desire, put it in your coffee, drink it. Focus on bringing in this virtue into yourself. So, and that's basically it. Very simple. Okay. So basically, you have your jar with sugar in it. The link, maybe the people's names involved. Burn candles on top of it. And that in itself, praying over it, lighting candles, focusing on your desire as it burns down, that in itself could be a spell. Or to add further to it, you can then take that sugar and cook with it. So, and that's basically it. And that is a very basic way of sweetening someone. Real quick before I close, I'll give you another really cool example. And this is something that I've liked to do, and I've tried it before. Another separate method, while I'm already on camera, I'll give this other technique. Take a plate, take some syrup. It can be syrup, it could be honey, maple syrup, whatever. You just take a white candle, take a plate. You can make a ring in the plate with syrup. Write the person's name into the candle. Take the white candle, burn it on the plate. Focus on your desire for this person to be peaceful towards you. It could be if you're dealing with a bully at work, if you're dealing with a bully at school, if your stepmother or whatever is just really hateful towards you, this is a way to deal with things from an occult perspective this is a very mild, very kind of a fuzzy, white light way of dealing with a bully. It's just trying to get that person to open up and to be a little nicer. It's a way to get a couple that are always fighting to be a little nicer. Maybe it won't permanently reconcile, but it adds a little sweetness. Maybe you want to add some sweetness to you and your mother-in-law or father-in-law, or maybe your husband or wife or whatever. So it's just a way to get people to be sweeter. And again, the holidays, maybe people don't get along too well on Christmas dinner or for Thanksgiving. So it's a very cool way to do that. And for Thanksgiving, you can add that to a pumpkin pie or whatever. Now, if you guys are interested, I can do more videos on cooking, on using the properties of herbs and intentions in preparing food. So that's a whole form of practical magic off to itself. So anyways, that's it. Thank you for joining me. And again, new videos, new lessons come out every Saturday morning. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everyone.